for some of you, you're like, oh, really, Ken Bone again? But I'm asking you, has anybody ever really talked to him about policy? Because a lot of these people like him because he's extra super nice, right? And he's got that red sweater and everything else. But has anybody really talked to him when they cover him? Has anybody asked him like what he does? Did you know he works in the coal industry?
That's awesome.
A lot of people didn't even know that.
Oh.
How does he feel about Hillary and wanting to kill off coal jobs? People don't ask him that either because a lot of these people in the mainstream media don't want to hear what he has to say about that. But I did when he was on the air with me, and he still says he's kind of undecided. So we'll see. He's actually been invited to the Las Vegas debate.
That is so cool. That is so neat. Go Ken Bone.
Ken Bone. He's actually super nice guy. Big fan of the All in the Morning show and also the Glover show, which he shouted out on TV.
That's awesome.
Yesterday. So anyway, I texted Dave to tell him that, but apparently they don't even care. Didn't even get back to me. No, whatever. Genevieve Wood. Yeah.
Stars at night are big and bright.
Good morning.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
Hello, Genevieve. Did you hear what I was talking about with Ken Bone?
Good morning. Yeah, I just heard so. I didn't know he was on the show. That's terrific.
Well, yeah, and what's also interesting is that in much of the media coverage of him, no one really talks to him about why he was there in the first place, his question, and whether he was satisfied with the answers. And so it was interesting to hear his perspective on that. And I'll cut to the chase. He wasn't satisfied with Hillary's answer and was mildly satisfied with Trump's. So, and he's in the coal industry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, and he works in the coal industry right there in Southern Illinois, right here across the river. So, yeah,
which is perfect. I love to get all the attention about the red sweater, but
yeah, I get it. I know. So anyway, what's your take? I haven't talked to you obviously since the 11-year-old tape has been released, but I'm having trouble with the individuals in the GOP who have decided that's too much for them, and that I guess technically, let's pave the way for Hillary, whose policies are clearly a lot more menacing than anything Donald Trump said 11 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, Jamie, these are folks who were very tepidly were brought kicking and screaming to having to endorse Trump in the first place. And I think in some respects, they've almost wanted to look for now. I think they've wanted to maybe look, many of them, I don't want to say that about everybody, because some I think have wanted to really say they could be gung-ho, but many of them, they're wishy-washy. And I think this is one of the reasons people have been so upset with Washington. I mean, they just, it's one day it's here, another, they just don't have the spines in many cases, I would argue, to stand up. Now, I'm not saying that people can on principle say, look, what he said was so vulgar, so bad, I just morally cannot do this. But most of them aren't saying that. They're just simply saying, well, I'm not going to campaign with him. They didn't say they're going to pull their support. I mean, either be for or be against. Make up your mind. And again, look, I think the tape was awful, but I don't think most people can say they had no idea something like that wouldn't come out. I think many of them did know that, maybe hoped that it wouldn't, but they made a decision to endorse before, and now that they're walking away, I don't think it's going to do them any favors.
Yeah, and here's the thing that I don't understand is that the claim is that somehow they are now in the mode of saving the party. But they do not have any statistical or even anecdotal evidence that Donald Trump has damaged down-ballot ticketing. And in fact, the evidence I have anecdotally from people who call the show and who support Republican candidates is that if you don't support Donald Trump, it's going to hurt you down-ballot, not if you do.
Yeah, look, again, I think this is people who don't. It's honestly, Jamie, it's kind of like finger in the wind, and they're very scared. The wind seems to start blowing it all a different direction. They don't stick with it, and I think you're right. I think ultimately it does hurt the party because it looks indecisive. It looks like you're just kind of trying to go with whatever the latest poll is. Because I come back to, I don't know how many people they may be shocked by how vulgar something is, but I don't think most people are extremely shocked with what they heard. I think most people know. I mean, it's been out there. Trump was on the Stern show saying stuff years ago. And yes, was it vulgar? Was it wrong? Yeah, but all those folks endorsed him then. They knew that stuff was out there. But now that it's been made public, now all of a sudden, now we can endorse him. Well, it's kind of like, really, you didn't know?
Well,
But,
and
but you don't have you don't have the foundation kind of to stand up and say, yeah, I did know that, but at the end of the day, he's apologized. At the end of the day, I still think he's going to do the right policies versus the person that he's running against, and that's what I care about. I have to care about that first, and the fact that the people elected him. If the people don't want to vote for him, they can make that decision in November. But they have put him forward as our nominee, and I'm going to let them make the decision at the ballot box. I mean, you don't have to break away, and I just think some of them are scared, and it just shows, where are your convictions? If you were so convicted that he was the wrong person, you should have never endorsed. It's like the people came out with the Never Trump movement. I thought it was too late, and now you have people today saying, well, now I've got to pull my support. Too late, guys. You found your conviction, your courage a little too late in the ball game.
well, and speaking of being too late, I think that they're miscalculating. They believe that if they are successfully able to dispatch Donald Trump and get rid of him and make sure he is not elected, they think that voters are just going to come back to them as if they were just errant sheep who now have decided, oh, we need to go back to our shepherd. And I do not think that's going to happen. I think Paul Ryan and some of these guys think, oh yeah, once Trump is gone, Republicans will just come back and fall in line and come back home. That's not going to happen.
Return to normal.
Right. But that's not going to happen.
I don't think that's going to happen either. I don't think that's going to happen at all. And look, I mean, I understand that this has been a very unusual year for GOP, especially the GOP leadership. But as opposed to really, reading the tea leaves early, realizing what was happening had a lot to do with the fact people were upset with them. They had not been the leadership they had promised to be. As opposed to doing that, they just kept blaming and looking for other places to kind of say this is why it's crazy or this is why Trump is winning. They never really wanted to embrace what the reality was. And I frankly, to your point, I think they still don't want to embrace it. They still keep hoping this is some dream that they're going to wake up from.
Right.
And they're going to wake up all right.
Yeah.
It's not going to have been a dream. It's going to be reality.
Interesting how the media reports all this too, because whenever they talk about like a McCain or a Gio or a Ryan being criticized by Donald Trump, it's Donald Trump attacking fellow Republicans. But when these guys attack him, it's always given some kind of real principled, moralistic, high ground kind of approach. But when Trump criticizes them, it's always Trump attacks fellow Republicans, but nothing about them attacking a fellow Republican, and mainly the nominee of the party. Crazy.
No, you're right. You're dead on. The only thing I would say is if I were Trump, what I would say is for all these people, I would simply say, look, that's their thing. That unfortunately, I wish they didn't feel that way because when I win, we're going to all have to work.
Yeah,
this is where you take the high road and get out of that stuff with them because it's not helpful.
Yeah, and he actually does not even need to say a word because we all know what the deal is, and so when you see a John McCain attack him, it's like, so what else is new? And I don't think he needs to say a word at this level. And also interesting how much of the people who criticized those comments 11 years ago had no problem with, for instance, a Comedy Central roast in which Ann Coulter they talked about raping her no less than 10, 11 times in one show. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, oh well, we'll never figure out the world completely, right, Genevieve?
Well, we may figure it out. The question is how much of it can we change a little bit every day.
At Genevieve Wood, dailysignal.com, heritage.org. We appreciate you as always. Thank you, Genevieve. Okay, take care.